Hi, I'm Virginia with Treehouse Trade School. Um, when we say trade, we're talking about any skill necessary to master and develop resilient communities. We were founded in 2016 and we have a membership online. It's $47 a month, and you gain full access to all of our online training, all of our monthly workshops, and our weekly Zoom calls. So, what our mission is to thrive in harmony with all of God's creation. And in addition to this, we have developed a magic formula that we hope will help people master all the trades necessary to build resilient communities for themselves and their families. We're also currently saving for a brick and mortar school so we can teach people not just online, but in person. And so, if you're new to this call, we invite every one of you to check out our membership page and become a part of the Treehouse Trade School family. On our weekly Zoom call this week, we have Angela Delaney, and somebody who I think is just really cool and really interesting and has a lot of unique knowledge. I always have a great time talking with her. She is currently helping landowners connect more deeply with their outdoor spaces through mindful gardening and therapeutic horticulture. And she also draws on her background in herbalism and homestead coaching to bring a holistic approach to her work. And she guides people on how to take what they grow and turn it into something valuable and nourishing for our bodies. And with that said, I will put myself on mute temporarily unless I have questions and turn the mic over to Angela, who is going to be teaching us how to make an immune boosting fire cider out of fresh produce from the garden.
Thank you, Virginia. And thank you, Scotty. Thank you to everybody for having me here as a guest tonight. It's pretty exciting. I love being able to teach about how to take food and do something cool with it, do something valuable with it. So many people grow, so many different herbs in the garden and they say, that's great. I grew it. And then they forget about it. And I'm saying you can do stuff with it, not just, put it on pork or chicken. Like this is actual medicine. And I think sometimes people forget, just simple spices in your spice rack are pretty valuable. So I'm going to make sure we can see all of my ingredients here and me. And we're going to talk about what in the world is fire cider. You're not drinking fire, but you might feel like it because it's a little warm. So traditionally, it is a folk remedy that is very good at stimulating your immune system. It can also promote healthy digestive system and respiratory issues that can occur, especially in the wintertime. So this is a great thing to take advantage of all the things that you're going to be harvesting from your garden in late summer and put this together because it's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks to sort of infuse, and we're going to talk about all that. So because it's a nice folk remedy, there are recipes for it, and I do have one that I'll share and make sure they put in the notes for everybody watching. But generally, it kind of consists of a lot of different ingredients. There are some main ones that we're going to go over, and it sounds crazy because there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, like horseradish, we've got ginger, we've got tons of garlic, we've got citrus, we've got onions, we've got herbs, we've got turmeric, cranberries. The list could go on and on and on about how you sort of put this together, but the key ingredients are especially garlic and horseradish, the really like hot and spicy things, because that's the fire that's really going into your body and help move energy. We get this sort of stuck feeling in the wintertime, and especially if we have like colds or flus, we have that sort of stagnant energy and we have to stimulate, lymphatic drainage, and this is a good way to do it. So, do we have any questions so far? No? Okay, good. I'm going to keep going. So I've kind of half prepared these things in a way. But the horseradish is really good at stimulating healthy digestive system, I think. It's an acquired taste. Not everyone loves it, but you know, that's the trick here. You just want to make sure that you get things, doesn't have to be super chopped up, but in small pieces. And you can use whatever container you want. I'm just using a mason jar because it's nice and easy. Anybody have anything to add
I
so
have a
far?
question. So how do you sterilize your mason jars before making this cider?
You can wash them with hot water. You can boil them if you want, if you prefer. Um, I'm honestly not too picky. I just kind of wash them with hot water and soap.
And I have another question about the horseradish. So I've only made this with ginger before, but do you think that horseradish better with digestion than ginger?
So you really want both in this recipe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both sort of that key ingredient to really being like warming throughout the body. Between the cayenne and the ginger and horseradish and garlic, it's you need that sort of pungent take on all of this. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Just have never tried it before. I'm excited.
Okay. All right. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but this type of infusion, there's different names to different types of infusions. Some people might be familiar with things like tinctures, and those are more alcohol based. This is what's called an oxymel. So it is a different type of infusion, and what an oxymel is it's a preparation that's made from vinegar and honey, and then you have other herbs infused with that. And so this is traditionally used for, the things that we talked about, digestion and respiratory issues. So some of the different ways that you can take this once we put together this magical concoction, and make sure everyone can see what I'm doing here. Just chopping and putting it in the jar. Um, Not only just doing, random shots of it throughout the winter to keep your immune system up, but you can put it in salad dressings. Like there's so many ways that, this is pretty potent by itself, but if you want to get it into your kids, put it in a salad dressing, put it on their salad. And I think it's a really good base also for making coleslaw. So if you like making coleslaw, this takes it up a notch.
I just evolved a little bit. Thank you for that.
We like the kid hacks, right?
We know your secret.
I-
Was that Abel?
Sorry,
yeah.
Abel.
That's great.
It's delicious and you're gonna love it.
Nice try.
I
I've
promise.
never been so flour salad again.
You won't even know. You won't even know.
Hey, I was gonna add, we were talking about New England,
Yeah.
and I used to work at this restaurant in Kennebunkport, and I was pretty close. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's not really a restaurant, it was a provisionary shop. So we had like it was a little like bougie grocery store with like local beer, which was awesome because there's some really good beer in Maine, and we had a little restaurant, but we had to get there early, and it was so close that there was no reason to drive. So and everyone thought I was kind of crazy, but I would just ride my bike in because it was like half a mile. Like it would be like complete blizzard, and I'd be like the guy riding my bike down the street in Kennebunkport in the blizzard. That being said, when we got in, we did a shot of fire cider every morning. Like that's how we got it going. Because they sold it there, and like we'd be like, all right, everybody ready? Okay, like for service, because people would be having coffee and stuff, and we'd literally like pour out shots right before service. Like so instead of the bar, bar like people take shots of whiskey at the breakfast restaurant at like 6:30 in the morning. We'd all fire up the day with a shot of fire cider and just get after it.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. And it's smart too.
It really got you going because some people like, I've eaten a lot of spicy food. For some people, they really like needed a recovery time because this was like a habanero one, so it was pretty. There was pretty good amount of fire
Oh,
in that cider, but it
nice.
was good. That's how I got introduced to it. By the way, if you're curious, there's one of my favorite words in cooking. Um, when you have hot peppers and they're spicy because of capsaicin,
Yeah.
that's spicy, right? That's actually the word for that is spicy.
Hmm.
When you have like ginger and garlic and onions and that particular spicy without the presence of capsaicin, I just learned this the other day. The word for that is piquant.
Piquant. Okay.
So
I don't
if
know if I'll
like
remember that.
so that's a really fun word to say. So like when you're doing garlic or it's I'll talk about this in some other class, but like there's different elements of food, not just salt, sweet, sour, and bitter, but piquant is something people really like raw onions, even on their hot dogs or whatever, or like fresh raw garlic on stuff, like on pizza or anything. Sometimes it makes you cry from the onions. I noticed that those onions are really getting to you, huh?
Yeah, they got me pretty good. It's okay. It's normal. um, no, but thank you for sharing that. That's cool.
So
We
yeah,
learned
that's the word of the day is piquant.
piquant. Okay, well, can we put that in the show notes?
Well, I always wanted to know
Um,
what it meant, and then I looked it up, and I was like, "That is a good word."
nice, nice. Um, so I'm trying to remember how to explain things as I'm going here. Sorry, just chopping away. So I don't know if anyone's familiar, but another sort of folk remedy in for getting over flu symptoms is has anyone ever heard of the old onion in the sock or an onion poultice on your ears for ear infections?
My grandma swore by the socks thing. It smells so bad. Yeah.
It is, and it's yeah, it's quite what was that word? Piquant, yeah. Pungent,
Pecans.
pungent piquant. So um but it does work, and onions and garlic, they're so good at being, acting as microbial, antibacterial, antiviral. I mean, garlic is like the poor man's penicillin, and I eat my fair share of garlic just about every day because I'm Italian. That's what we do.
I know my dad always called like every time he started a meal, he would start it with onions and garlic first. And then he would add in some, I forget if it was like, I think it was celery, but he was like, yeah, this is the holy trinity. This is everything you need to keep yourself healthy and like your body
Mhm.
functioning. So that's how we start our meals. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and every time you start a meal like that, you could just make those couple things and it already smells delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Have Have you ever heard? I guess I've bought this around here at some of the farmers markets. Some of the local folks make what they call cowboy penicillin. You ever heard of that one?
Is that garlic and honey?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and then that's seems to work. And then one lady that was doing it, like I got some of that, but then after she infused the garlic into the honey, or whatever, there was like a byproduct that she poured off, and then just sold that in bottles. It's
Ooh,
and that she called like cowboy cough syrup,
I like
and
it.
that was pretty intense. Like, because I got a bottle. She like I always trade for stuff at the market, and she gave me a bottle of that, and it was a tiny bottle, and it lasted me quite some time because like you really couldn't drink very much. Like a little dab of did you or whatever, however you say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it worked, man. I would wake up like middle of winter, with the wood burning stove going with like a really dry, raspy throat and just like feeling that ache coming on, and one little nip of that, and it was just gone. It was just cured.
Absolutely. I believe it. I believe it. Garlic is amazing, and so is honey. And once this, um, I'm kind of getting to the end before the beginning here. But once this is all done infusing and you strain everything out, then you would add the honey to this towards the end. And it is sort of this like sweet and spicy, and you can use as little or as much as you want, or you don't even have to use it. But technically, the recipe is, an oxymol, which is honey and vinegar based, for that reason of like, we want all like the most potent medicine possible in this mixture. So, some of the basic ingredients that I'm using tonight are horseradish, ginger, onions, garlic, jalapenos, orange, lemon, cranberries, cayenne, turmeric, and then you can throw in whatever choice herbs that you want. I went outside and I picked my top 3 favorites, especially for cold and flu season. Rosemary. Rosemary supports your respiratory system so well. That's definitely going in. Oregano and thyme, nothing better. They are huge antivirals. So, in the middle of chopping up all of these lovely ingredients, you're going to end up shaking everything all together, but I kind of like to put the herbs right in the middle. So you got like kind of this really pretty layering effect. Like I said, you're going to shake it, but it'll be pretty for a little while, right? Just giving this a rough chop. Like I said, things don't have to be finely minced. It's not rocket science. I know you're a chef, Eric. Don't judge me. I am not a chef, so I'm not, chopping through here super quick.
I will tell you this: most chefs don't care about that stuff. Like, it's funny because everyone is always like, "Don't judge me," but like, what's like more annoying to me is like when people are so focused on like cutting stuff. Because I don't know. I mean, if you're in like a Michelin star restaurant and you got a chef like looming over you, and the plates have to look a certain way, that's a different story. But like, not cooking naturally is way more appealing to most chefs than somebody who's like really focused on symmetry and stuff. Like, that's not really natural to most chefs, I don't think.
Okay.
Not to mention, we usually just enjoy people who enjoy like the process of cooking whatever it is for you. It's like artists judging other artists or whatever. Like, as long as it gives you joy and you enjoy what you're doing, then you're doing it right.
Right.
If you're
Exactly.
stressing out because you think somebody else might not be happy with it, then that you kind of, that's half the process is gone there anyway. Like a lot of reason you do this stuff is because it's pleasing to you while you
Right.
do it.
Right. As long as you're not cutting your fingers off, it's all good. So with the citrus, again with the rough chopping, you can totally leave the peel on because there's still valuable essential oils all within that peel, just as much as the good stuff in the middle. So you want all that good vitamin C, because what this we're gonna pour in here is gonna be apple cider vinegar, and the vinegar is really good at especially extracting a lot of minerals from things. So every type of infusion um, extracts things, different constituents, rather, excuse me, from different plants. This one, what it does, it gets all the minerals and all the good stuff. And I am running out of room in this jar. Can everyone see the jar okay? Yay, nay.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can see the jar. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All
It
right.
takes a second to turn the microphone back on.
All good. It's getting my lemon in there. Okay. Hang on a second. I gotta rinse my hands. All right. I don't even know if I'm going to have room for my cranberries here. And I have some delightful New England cranberries. I am from Massachusetts, which is where a lot of cranberries are grown. So I keep them in my freezer. Even though I'm down in Georgia, I still enjoy the taste of home.
If you want to have a lot of fun with it, handle all that stuff that you just cut up and then rub your eyeballs.
No, don't do that. No touching of the eyes. Okay. I don't have fresh turmeric, so you can use powdered, absolutely. And what I like to do is maybe like a quarter of a teaspoon turmeric and a quarter of a teaspoon of cayenne. Oh, or a little more if you can. Fine. It's a little extra hot. Hot and spicy. Like it. More fun that way. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, is there any room for liquid here? Yes, there is. Got the big old bottle. See if we can pack that down in there. The cranberries are really good because you don't have to do them, but I like the antioxidants specifically in the cranberries. So we're going to go ahead and fill up this tasty jar concoction. Ooh, yum. Surprisingly, it does smell really good. I know there's a lot of random ingredients here. I did sneak in the jalapeno when Eric was talking because again, you want to add a little bit more heat too. Another important thing when topping off your jar, you can use a mason jar lid. However, if you're going to use metal because you're using vinegar, you want to put like a piece of parchment paper over the top of your jar because it will sort of corrode the metal. But I like these little plastic lids you can get on Amazon for the mason jars, and they make it easy. So just like that, we have our fire cider, and the most important part is labeling. So don't forget to label. It doesn't have to be fancy. I just put painter's tape and I use a marker and I put a date when it got made because you're going to want to wait at least 4 to 6 weeks for all of this to infuse. And you're going to leave it on your countertop, put it in a cabinet, keep it somewhere you're not going to forget about it because every day, every 2 days, you just want to go in and give it a good shake. Just make sure everything's getting around there and everything's infusing as it should. And that, my friends, is fire cider.
Bravo, bravo. That is beautiful.
Hey,
How?
so
I have a question.
Oh, we got 3 questions. All right. Eric, I think Eric, you start talking first. What's your question?
oh, that's okay. I can wait. Ann, you go ahead.
So after the 4 to 6 weeks is up and it's done infusing and you open it up, how long, you may have already said this and I just missed it, but how long is it good for? And do you need to keep it in the fridge, or is the apple cider vinegar enough to keep the bacteria out?
So I have kept it in a cabinet. You can also keep it in the fridge. When in doubt, it's going to last a lot longer, obviously, in the fridge, but it doesn't have to be refrigerated. Generally, you'd want to use it within 6 months is ideal. You can keep it around, but it's not a recipe that's meant to sort of keep around for like a year or a couple of years. I don't have a direct answer on if you can keep it for longer than a year. So that I don't know. But
So it's basically a seasonal preparation only.
it is. For me, it doesn't last more than 6 months, you know? So when you do strain everything out, whether you're using a strainer or cheesecloth, make sure you get all the bits out. This is an example of one I actually bought at a store. If you can get a nice dark bottle, something
Mhm.
like this, a glass bottle, that's ideal. And that's going to help things last longer, especially if you're not keeping it in the fridge. Keeping it in dark glass would be really important. And make sure to get that honey in there after it's done infusing and you've strained it out.
Why a dark glass?
I think it just helps, keep the light out and keep any oxidation that might help, you know, break things down quicker.
And you know what I've seen with the dark, and it's I don't know if the vinegar will prevent this, but I've seen things stored in clear jars that if the sun hits it enough, it'll just promote all sorts of bacterial growth. So
Yeah.
the dark glass, like I worked at this bar once, and it was like in a park. They had all these fake bottles of liquor. They saved all these bottles, so when they opened, they filled them with water, like all these different vodkas. And like 3 weeks after we opened, I looked up and they all had like these jellyfish growing in them of like bacteria. So
Ew.
yeah, and I've also seen in restaurants where um people just did like olive oil on the tables. And again, the vinegar hopefully will prevent that. But you got to be really careful when you see some of those infused olive oils at restaurants, because sometimes people just take garlic and rosemary and shove it right in a jar and fill it with olive oil. And I've seen those after about a week or two just be like cultures of bacterial growth. So they get really gnarly quick. And again, they're clear bottles, so they look great on the table for like a day, but if they're not usually good for very long.
Right, right. And that's why I really push a lot of safety when I do a lot of, my other infusion classes, because when you're using fresh ingredients versus dry ingredients, things aren't going to last as long and they have more possibility of going rancid, especially with the fresh garlic and olive oil that's not meant to be stored for months at a time, you know.
Would it mess that up if you like boiled the vinegar and poured it over and put the top on and almost like jarred it? Like, would that, have you ever tried that? I feel like it would pickle the vegetables, but I don't know if that would mess up the flavor or improve. I don't know.
Hold on, say that again.
So, like, you pour the vinegar over at the end, cold or room temperature. What if you boiled the vinegar and then put like boiling vinegar into the jar?
I don't think you would want to mix oil with this. If you were
Not
gonna put the
no boil with a B.
oh,
Boiled,
okay,
like heat it up to where it makes bubbles and like like not oil land. Did you get that?
yeah.
Sorry, I have a
If
really
you
shitty.
if if you heat this, you're gonna
Yeah.
kind of break down and destroy a lot of the medicine that you're trying to create here.
Okay, so yeah, that was kind of the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And some low and slow infusions, like sometimes I'll do lemon thyme with honey, and I that's my favorite cough syrup to make in the wintertime if I need it. Um, I'll do a real low and slow, not even a simmer, because you don't want to cook honey, right? Because you want all the medicine that you can, but it does, a little bit of heat does help draw that medicine more from the herb to get into the honey.
Hmm.
So
And
sometimes I just use my, like the coffee warmers. I'll put a mason jar on that and use that to infuse for like a couple hours.
if after the month, do you wind up with more liquid than you started? Does it extract a lot of liquid from the vegetables?
From this,
Yeah,
not really.
not really.
It's the
Okay.
same, yeah. So even after shaking this a little bit, I'm s- I'm still gonna go in and top it off because I don't know if everyone can tell. The liquid actually came down to here. So that's why you want
Hmm.
to make sure you're shaking it, because all of these things are going to compact and move around. So open it back up, top it off again.
I have another question.
Sure.
I use pine needles a lot for respiratory issues. Would that be good to add into this as well?
I'm Honestly, it couldn't hurt. Yeah, you could use pine needles as your herb because pine needle, well, white pine is packed full of vitamin C. So you could either substitute something or just use it as an addition. That's what's great about folk remedies. There's a general rule of thumb on some of these ingredients, but you can incorporate so many different herbs of however you feel. Some people even put cinnamon and clove in this, and that would definitely change the flavor, but you can do it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of using like what's around me and what's growing close to me, just because I feel like that's probably where I'm getting allergens from and might need the most support from. So that's good to know.
Absolutely, that's a really great point. Using what's local to you is super, super important just for that reason that you said.
Do you know, this is kind of different, but on the subject of like dealing with allergies or just your environment, you ever do any fermenting
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
or anyone? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
how I
cooking
can.
radishes, and I'll do like fermented pickled radishes. Like in the summertime, I always have a jar of something going, something fermenting and pickling.
Yeah. I know like almost everybody knows that book, Wild Fermentation. But one of the neatest facts in that one, coming back to allergies and such, is that it's really good to eat anything fermented, but making your own is really important because if you have it, say, in your kitchen, then your own breath and all of the things floating in your environment go into that fermentation, become part of the process of the fermentation. And then when you eat it, it actually, like those prebiotics and probiotics, you actually, the fermentation helps you develop a better living relationship with your own personal environment because your own breath and the elements floating in the air wind up in the fermentation, and the yeast actually like process it in a way that's easier for you to break down. And then as you eat your own homemade fermentation, a lot of people find that their relationship to their home living space becomes healthier and better, or
And
so
I
they say. What's that?
for people who like, I'm very gluten sensitive, but if
Mm-hmm.
I make sourdough bread here, specifically where I live, I can do that without stomach sensitivity issues. But if I eat a piece of white Wonder bread, it's a gastro nightmare.
Well, I
So
talk about that a lot too, and a part of that isn't always the gluten; it's the bleach they use to make the flour. So a lot of it is the chemicals they used to do it. So, and most people know this, but like I talk about this a lot, especially with mushrooms because they have so much fiber. But like, if you ever look at like a whole grain of wheat, like in the simplest form, there's two main parts. There's like the husk or the buck on the outside, and then the inside is sticky. So like wheat's really good for you because we know that all of our illnesses, or most of many of our illnesses, come right from our digestive tract, and like our digestion, our intestines, they absorb like the good nutrients and they filter out the um, impurities. Now, when we eat just gluten or like processed gluten, it like sticks those impurities to the inside of our digestive tract. And I always say it's like trying to clean your sweater of cat hair, but you put the tape on but never pull it off. It just like sticks it to the sweater, right? So, and then when we eat grains in their whole form, then the husk comes along and scrapes all that, the gluten like kind of sucks up all the toxins, but then the husk comes and scrapes it all along. What we started doing was not only removing that husk so we don't have that secondary process, but we remove it by adding chemicals to it. So we're not only are we like not getting the secondary like cleansing from the wheat and the grains and the whole grains, but we're actually adding more toxins. The funniest thing is that a lot of people then take something like Metamucil, which is actually psyllium husk, which is just the husk from a different grain mixed with tang. So if you would just eat, not you, but like if most people would just eat unprocessed whole grains with the buck in the husk on there, a lot of people would find that they have a better relationship with wheat. Now, if you have
Hmm.
straight up celiacs, none of that's going to work, but a lot of it winds up being not so much the gluten as the chemicals used to process it and make it white. I tell a lot of people one of the reasons we started doing that is especially after the plague and after a lot of diseases that were found in stored wheat. We started bleaching everything white because when you saw white things, it didn't have mouse droppings and it didn't have dirt and all sorts of mold and stuff like that. So before refrigeration, it was really important. You saw a bag of white flour and you knew that it was disease free. Now, with our new modern storage methods, we should be going back to that original form because we don't need to like visually inspect it when we know something's been packaged properly and should hopefully not have like mouse droppings in it. But so
That makes sense.
yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. I have full on celiac, so I don't touch any of it.
Don't touch any of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to say one more final thing about this too, because I'm remembering as I'm going. You might not want to take shots of this on an empty stomach because it is so hot and warming, and it's extremely, it'll get everything circulating. So I would eat a light snack.
Does anyone know? I'm trying to learn about Ayurveda. Does
Yeah,
anyone?
Ayurvedic medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, and so do you know which of the three doshas that would fit into? Like, because I'm trying to learn my doshas. I don't know. I've just started studying Ayurveda, so I'm like, yeah,
There's
it's easy to.
Vata, there's Pitta,
There's, I think it's Vata.
Eric, we
Pitta.
can talk later. I actually created a class on the doshas to introduce like how you can figure out what is what and what
Okay.
fits your body type. So I'd be happy to share that with you later.
Okay, we'll do that another day. I was just curious what that one is. Like, what is it? Vata, Pitta, and Kapha.
And
Kapha, yeah, I think
yeah.
it's two. It's definitely Pitta because it's hot, and it's also Vata because you have the vinegar and the spices.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
So
so
it would be at least those two.
that's cool.
But Jenny probably knows way more about that than I do.
Yeah, this is great. We have so many professionals in so many different areas here. This is what makes the magic of the Tree Scouts.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. This is so exciting, y'all. I love seeing all of this come together, and these guest speaking members calls are one of the highlights of my week, I think. So I want to thank everyone for coming here and for being here. And Angela, were you? I haven't been able to hear completely because of the road traffic, but did you have anything else that you wanted to cap off with?
Not really. That was basically it. I mean, everything that you trim off, make sure you put in your compost pile. Give it back to the earth and
Awesome.
your future garden space. That was about it.
Yes, well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really exciting. I want to go home and make some and then put it in my children's salad.
Yes.
Make some coleslaw. It'll never be the same. It'll be delicious.
Drizzle it on eggs for breakfast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can mix it in orange juice if you want to take it that way instead of taking it straight too.
Oh, yes. So cool. I learned about fire cider for the first time, I think, from Lake Eden Arts Festival, and that's where I'm headed right now. So it's so cool that you're doing this call tonight as I'm headed there.
Oh, cool. Well, you'll have to rewatch this and study it, and then you can go home and make it.
Yes, absolutely. So next Thursday, I'm going to be at Regenerate Wellness doing the members call along with a presentation at Regenerate Wellness in the energy enhancement room. So this is a really cool opportunity. There's a ticket price for this one. It's $44. I'm willing to waive my portion of that for Tree Scout members. And again, everyone who's an instructor is also a member, so you should all have your access to your membership. If you haven't already logged into that and gotten signed up, go ahead and do that because that'll give you access to these videos. This video will be on YouTube, accessible to the public, and it will be in the membership as like the pilot, the introduction to each one of you. Everyone who does a video will have their own little guest speaking event in the membership. And having the membership gets you the text messages, and we send out a text message whenever new videos drop. We send out text message when there are events, and we send out a text before these calls, so you can just be that much more in the loop. So yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thank you, Angela. You're our pilot member for our herbalism section. This is our first video, which is really exciting because it's going to be a big portion of the curriculum at Treehouse Trade School. So thank you for kicking this off so much and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. We appreciate you and love you, and just think you're the greatest. So anyway.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Everyone's awesome here, so it's a great community.
Absolutely. We need to get together and break some bread sometime.
Some gluten-free bread.
Hey, speaking of bread, it's funny you should say that. I don't know if I'm definitely going to do this, but I was at my, I was helping out my sort of landlord. They're older, and I was cleaning their yard, and mostly what I was cleaning up was acorns. So I got like 30 gallons of acorns today. Well, I got to clean them, but
you got to soak them.
Well, you know, I got all that part. Yeah, that's like first I got to clean them. So I'm looking into that, but if anyone's like really, really bored this week and wants to like process acorns with me, I'll let you know if it happens. I might put it on the thread, but like if we could make some acorn flour bread, maybe that would be up your alley. I'm hoping that if I can actually get to the flour, that maybe we can make like acorn flour pizza dough or something would be really fun. That's a real stretch.
Yeah, man, drop it in the thread. You know, never know who's
well,
gonna do.
Yeah, if I get it going, maybe I can entice some people to come up and just crack some shells with me. But it might happen this week. You never know. It depends on how bored I am on Sunday.
Awesome. All right. Well, are we ready? Anybody else have anything before we hop off of here?
Thank you so much.
All right. God bless you all. Be safe, and love you guys. See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.